Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Max. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. As we've just got some good football information of this past weekend, I should say.
Yeah, scouting combine just happened. We talked about it a little bit on last week's episode. We were kind of previewing it.
Oh yeah,
And the players, for the most part, came out and showed what they got. Some improved their draft stock a lot, some disappointed. I'm going to start off here with who probably had the best combine out of any player. I don't think it's much of a hot take or anything. It's just Nick Emmanwori, safety from South Carolina, had the best combine, officially measured in at 6'3", 220, which is a lot of size. And then he just happened to run a 4.3, 840, had a 1.49, 10-yard split, 43-inch vert, and an 11.6 broad jump. The broad jump and the vert were both the highest out of all the DBs, and the 40 was up there too with the DBs.
Most definitely, Caden. And what that shows you is just an ability to cover the field, right? You want your safeties to be able to play low, play high, move around. They're covering tight ends at that height at 6'3". That's a very favorable matchup when you have a safety of that size being able to play a tight end, because it gives you an advantage. It gives you so much more things you could do within your coverage and your rotations. And not only that, he's going to get there fast.
Mm-hmm.
Fast with fury, with hitting ability, all that wrapped in together. It's going to be, very good for whatever team manages to let him.
Yeah, I mean, he was already like a consensus top 50 prospect. A lot of people had him going late in the first round, early second in their mocks. And now you see this just straight up performance by him. I see a lot of people thinking he might move up to the more middle part of the first round, where we're going to see after last year where barely any defensive players went in the first round. We're going to be seeing a high volume of defensive players go in this first round.
Correct.
I definitely could see Nick Emmanwori going as one of these top defensive players in the class after these testings, his size, and what he was able to put on film at South Carolina these past couple of years.
Yeah, okay, no hate to last year's draft class, but I feel just as a whole, this year is more exciting. It's deeper. There's a lot more prospects that I feel
for the position. I mean,
other positions.
Yeah, because the quarterback, wide receiver class last year was amazing
for sure.
But this year it's running backs, tight ends, good corners, good DBs, and some insane edge rushers, some insane D tackles. I agree. I think it's a deeper class as a whole, because you still have a good receiver class as well.
Yes.
Who would you like to talk about here, Max?
One person I just want to hop in that I'll bring up two guys that I talked about in last episode's pod, but I think had a really good was Jimmy Horn Jr. He's an undersized guy, but he's known for his route running ability, as we talked about in separation. He ended up clocking in a 4.46, Caden, which is not a bad time at all. It's up there for receivers. Definitely not, jaw-dropping or anything, but it definitely only shows what you've seen on film. Yep. He does have that breakaway speed. He does have that yard after catch ability that he can get a burst going. He can get a burst of speed, energy, get him off the line, get him open, get him separation. I think that definitely helped raise his stock maybe just a tiny bit, or at least, solidified in the eyes of GMs what they may have already thought of him.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see any blazing speed out of the receivers this season. Nothing like we saw with like Xavier Worthy last year breaking the combine record. So to see him, who, yes, he put up very good film at Colorado. See, he runs a sub 4.5, has that 4.46, good speed. Yes, he is a little undersized, but at that speed, he should be a good fit in the slot somewhere.
Correct.
Now I want to move on to the fastest running back of the entire combine. We talked about how deep this running back class is, that a lot of you guys might not even know about. Byshel Tootin, Virginia Tech running back, 5'9", 206, so kind of like the Ashton Genty build, just a little lighter.
Yeah.
And he went out and ran a 4.3, 240. So the fastest running back by far, faster than almost every receiver, he was one of the fastest just all-around players at the combine at 210 pounds as a running back, a 149, 10-yard split, still had a 40.5-inch vert, 10-10 broad jump at this smaller size. So you're already looking at him as a kind of bruising running back. And now you also see that not only does he have the size to take hits, get there deep into contact in the holes, he has this breakaway speed where if you give him a hole, if you give him a crease, he has a breakaway speed to break those 80-yard long rushing touchdowns and get you these big explosive plays in your offense.
Most definitely can, and that's something that excites all coaching staffs, and I'd say even offensive lines. You want to block for a running back that you feel is going to bash, he's going to smash, and then ultimately be able to break away and crack the big ones. That's so rewarding to an offense, and honestly, kills and drag down teams. You look at the Super Bowl champion Saquon Barkley. He's someone very similar to that. He's going to bash 1-2 yards, and then all of a sudden he's going to break away a big chunk. And you do that over and over again. A lot of teams really don't want to face that every week.
No, definitely not. And so it's really good to see from really improved draft stock in an overly loaded running back class. And now you were just talking about Jimmy Horn. There's a couple of receivers I want to touch on here because I'd mentioned Matthew Golden last week. He has the size. He's 6'1", has the tape at Texas. We want to see what he can run. People were thinking he'd be running more like what Jimmy Horn kind of ran, the 4.46, kind of what Jordan Addison ran a couple years back. No, he was the fastest wide receiver that tested, ran the 40 at the combine. He ran a sub, not only that, he ran a sub 4.3 and a 4.29. The fastest wide receiver at the size. I think that's amazing to see for him. Really helps boost his draft stock. You're seeing now after that, people are thinking he could sneak into the end of the first round. I've seen stuff to like the Bills over at 30, something like that, which could be really good for that offense. And then kind of more on the bad side of it. I mean, Arian Smith, before we get to bed, he ran a good 40, 4.36. We already knew he was one of the fastest wide receivers. The questions with him are obviously still the hands. Like, he is really fast. He can create separation. The hands are just not great with him. But then Isaiah Bond, he came out, he proclaims, like, I'm going to run faster than Xavier Worthy. He transferred from Alabama to Texas with the thing about him being his blazing speed. He was fast 4.39. Just not as fast as I think a lot of people were expecting. Not
correct
what he wanted to show up. And then kind of a really bad one where I talked about it after the East-West Shrine and Senior Bowls. Tez Johnson, he's really small, really undersized, officially weighed in at only 154 pounds. He is the third lightest player to ever get a combine invite, so only 5'10", 154. This was supposed to be one thing. Like, can he get a fast 40 to help maybe boost the draft stock? Ran a 4.51. Couldn't even break a sub 4.5, and just not good at all for draft stock. You're already being very undersized, very underweight, being a fringe slot guy, not great. And another guy I just want to mention, our boy over here, Nick Nash.
Yeah, Nick Nash.
We love watching him. There was that game against Washington State earlier in the season where he just went off, really put us on the radar for us.
Yeah.
We thought he could maybe do something. He's downside of him, not just he ran a 4.57, not great. He's also really old.
He's an older guy, yeah.
So we were hoping he could maybe put on a show.
Yeah, and the combine measurables might not stand out for Nick Nash, but the tape don't lie.
The tape don't lie.
He can get separation. He can catch a lot of balls. He can run a lot of different routes. He's a diverse player, and he has a nose for the end zone, which I think is one of the more important traits of any skill position. Can you get in the end zone?
For sure. I think he could be a impactful mid to late day 3 selection.
Definitely.
For a team.
I think teams who maybe have need for a bigger receiver, a bigger body type presence like that could definitely get him, like you said, Ken, later rounds. And he has a potential upside. You give him the right position, the right coaching staff to really break out, I think, even though he is one of the older players.
Yep. Now we're going to move on to the edge rushers, the DNs, where we didn't unfortunately get to see Abdul Carter test because of he had a foot injury that sidelined him. But we have two very highly touted, highly prospect pedigree edge rushers. I'm going to start with you. You're going to give we'll go mine, and we'll see how this goes.
I forgot the bro's name already. Stewart?
Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart already. Yeah, Caden, one player that had an absolutely freak of a performance was Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. At, his size, 6'5", 267 pounds. He was moving, Caden, with the sub 4.640, all right? I think his official time was 4.57, which is absolutely ridiculous for the power, the strength, setting that edge. And he had an absolutely phenomenal season for the Aggies. And I think just seeing that speed displayed within the combine and getting his official measurables, seeing how long he is, that power, that frame, team's going to get him, going to be very excited. If he carries along that motor with him, Caden, the work ethic to improve. Potentially maybe shed even a couple more pounds, get a little leaner, a little quicker, and a little stronger. I think he's going to be an absolute terror in the league, and he has a potential to really develop into a really high-level player here in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we saw what he did at Texas A&M this year against a bunch of tough SEC opponents, and he looked amazing. He looked like he belonged there in the top conference of college football, which usually bodes well to the pros. If you're able to feast against a lot of these SEC linemen, which are going to be future NFL linemen,
correct.
That's going to show you. And he was able to do that. Then running a sub 4.640 at 6'5", 260. Like, he's got the power, he's got the acceleration. Now it's going to be interesting to see what type of situation he gets into, because I think he, like you're saying, very good developmental piece that can be big for a team.
Most definitely.
And speaking of SEC edge rushers, one of the top SEC edge rushers is James Pierce Jr. His official height weight, 6'5", 245. So amazing size there. Not only that, he was the fastest edge rusher that tested at the combine. We're in a sub 4.5 40, 4.47 40 out of this side. So faster than Tez Johnson at at almost 100 more pounds. He's faster than Tez Johnson. So that's kind of funny to think about. Not only that, we're in a 1.56 10-yard split. So he has the quickness, 31-inch vert. He can get up at his size, and a 10-3 broad jump. Yes. So all the athleticism skills here are amazing for him. He can run. He can move. He's got the change of direction, got the agility. I think James Pierce Jr., even though he's most definitely going to be a high pick, early first round, whoever gets him, I think is going to be in for a treat with James Pierce Jr.
And that's what just makes this draft so exciting, because if you're a team who needs an edge, you're like, all right, even if, guys start going, there's so much depth. There's a whole alphabet list of potential prospects that could be lighting up the score. And one person, I don't know if we slipped over him earlier, I wanted to talk about too, that I've been talking about and continue to talk about, because I think he's going to be good in the league, is RJ Harvey.
Oh, your boy, yeah.
4.4 flat, Caden, which was the fourth fastest time for running back. So I think that just showcases his breakaway speed. And obviously, I think he's got the best hands of any back in this draft. That's my opinion. I'm excited to see what he could potentially do and where he ends up falling in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Combine over now, so we've got a lot of stuff to look forward to as we get closer to the draft. New league year is starting really soon, so we're going to have free agency. As we're going soon, as we get closer to the draft, we're going to be ranking each of our top fives at most of these positions going to the draft. Correct. So we'll see some discrepancies, see some arguments ensue, a bunch of good stuff. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Turn on the post notifications so you never miss an upload of the Untouchaballs podcast. Like this video if you enjoyed. Comment about any prospects we missed, anyone who really shined, really disappointed, anything like that. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and share this with your friends, family, strangers, or neighbors.
Most definitely. We appreciate y'all. We thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.